Chinese Coast Guard water cannon attack forces Philippine vessels to abort a humanitarian supply mission near the Scarborough Shoal. Pia Gutierrez has tonight's top story.
Dramatic footage shows Philippine Coast Guard ship BRP Bagakay blasted from both sides by water cannons by two Chinese Coast Guard vessels as it nears the Scarborough Shoal in the West Philippine Sea Tuesday morning. The water cannon attack lasted for almost an hour, with the force of the water causing damage to the railing and canopy of the Philippine vessel. The BRP Bagakay is in the West Philippine Sea to escort the ship of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources BRP Bancao in its mission to resupply Filipino fishermen in the area. The BRP vessel itself was also targeted by Chinese ships. Prior to the attack, the Chinese vessels shadowed the Philippine convoy, carrying out dangerous maneuvers to prevent the Filipinos from going near the shoal. The PCG says the Chinese have also installed a 380-meter floating barrier that covered the entire entrance of the shoal. The damage sustained by the vessel eventually forced the Philippine Coast Guard and BFAR ships to head back to shore. But the Philippine Coast Guard says it is determined to carry out missions to support and protect Filipino fishermen and their interests in the area. The Armed Forces of the Philippines also vowing their support for these future missions.
They would be asking for us to come in and step in, and we would be ready to react accordingly. We are following protocols, and we are also abiding with international laws.
Tuesday's incident comes as the U.S. and the Philippines are undertaking their largest Balikatan military exercises, which include maritime drills outside of the Philippines' territorial waters, but within the country's exclusive economic zone. The latest incident of Chinese aggression also expected to further escalate tensions between the Philippines and China.
Kawawa po tayo, nakakagalit. Are we going to give in to intimidation? We condemn this incident just today. We condemn the narrative of China. We will not stand for this. And you can be rest assured po dito sa Kongreso that we will be taking this, yung ating committee, when it is scheduled by the Rules Committee, we will be taking this very seriously.
Hindi ho natin kailangan maging matapang. Pero sana hindi ho tayo maging duwag. They want to portray to the whole world that they're superpower. And that's why they can step on us anytime they want. And that's a basic definition of a bully. So ang dapat na sagot sa isang pagsisindak ay hindi dapat defeatist ang attitude. Dapat tumindig.
Retired Supreme Court Justice Antonio Carpio says that the Philippines should question before the UN Arbitral Tribunal China's Coast Guard law that allows Chinese Coast Guard vessels to use lethal force to defend its sweeping maritime claims. He says that the law is in violation of the UN Charter, which outlaws the threat or use of force to settle a dispute. Carpio says the Philippines should raise the issue in the International Court, along with the case that it is mulling to file against China for the extensive marine damage it caused to the coral reefs in the West Philippine Sea.
This is a threat of force because after that water cannon, they could use something more. And the Chinese Coast Guard is using this because of the new Coast Guard law of China to authorize their Coast Guard vessels to use lethal force, any kind of force, to enforce the 9, now 10-dash line. So that is why the Chinese Coast Guard is now being aggressive.
When we go to the arbitral tribunal, we should include the new Coast Guard law of China, which authorizes Chinese Coast Guard vessels to use all necessary force, including the firing of weapons, to enforce the 10-dash line. That is in violation of the UN Charter, which prohibits, outlaws the threat or use of force to settle a dispute.
The U.S. ambassador to Manila denounced China's use of dangerous maneuvers and water cannons to disrupt what she says was a lawful Philippine mission. Mary Kay Carlson says the Philippines can count on America's support to uphold freedom of navigation and international law. The French embassy in the Philippines also expressed concern over the incident. It cited a damage caused to vessels of the Philippine Coast Guard and the Philippine Fisheries Bureau. France renewed its call for respect of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea and of freedom of navigation.